As you guys are watching this video right now, I think I'm probably on a flight from London to New York. So I thought it was fitting for me to finally do this video that I've kind of been talking about on my social media for a while. I wanted to do a video talking about my fear of flying, but I've really put it off for a while, and I think I talked about this on Snapchat because I feel like with my videos I always want there to be a purpose for them, something that you guys can take away from it, and I wasn't sure what the purpose of this video was. I couldn't find like a solution or any kind of helpful tips because obviously if I had those then I probably wouldn't have a fear of flying. So I kept putting off doing the video, but someone sent me a message saying that they felt that me just talking about it was helpful. So I just thought I would do it during May while there's so many videos going up anyway. I'm just in my comfy clothes and I've got my hair in plaits. I don't think I've worn my hair in plaits since I was about 10. But I just fancied it. Look how little they are. When you've got short hair, you can't really do plaits properly. So let's talk about my fear of flying. And I even think the word fear of flying it's not even relevant to my fear of flying. And I think that's something really important to take away from this video, that every single person has different types of fears, different worries, different feelings, and it's all okay. This whole video is just for me to talk about my personal experience and feelings towards flying in an aeroplane, and I'm not saying it's the right or wrong way or anything like that. I've tried to not put too much like order to this video and just sit and chat instead, because I feel like when there's too much order it loses all its kind of realness. So sorry for the rambling, but I'm just gonna talk. And I'm also in a good mood. I feel like this video could have been very different if I'd filmed it when I'm just about to go on a flight, whereas I'm going on a flight next week, so I still feel okay right now. So I personally feel like my fear of flying developed in my early teenage days. I was very lucky as a child. I got to go on holiday a lot with my family, so I was always on aeroplanes from a really young age, and as far as I'm aware, I don't think I had that much of a problem with it when I was really little. When I started to get to 12, 13, even kind of 15, 16 when I started going on holiday without my parents and with friends, my fear developed from a travel sickness thing. A lot of people in my family have travel sickness. It's when you start feeling sick when you're in cars or boats or planes. Some people are actually sick, some people just feel sick. I actually think just feeling sick is worse, and that's normally what I've got. And I just remember I had this like 3 or 4 year period in my teenage days where every time I'd get on a flight I would throw up, and I hate throwing up. I mean, everyone hates throwing up. Is there anyone that doesn't really? I wouldn't say I've got a huge fear of it, but when I'm throwing up I'm hyperventilating and freaking out. I'm just not good at being sick. So that would happen on a flight, normally takeoff, landing. It would make the whole thing really stressful. I remember on a flight back from Thailand with my family, I was so worried about being sick that I went to buy some travel sickness pills. They turned out to be like not great ones, and they actually made me sick. So the whole thing was a bit of a disaster, and I really remember going through a period in my teenage days where I was always sick on planes, and if I wasn't sick I had terrible ear pain, and I felt the whole experience awful. I used to really panic about not being able to get to the toilet if I wanted to be sick, or if I was in the toilet and the seatbelt sign would come on, what would I do? So I always sat in the aisle. I had a real kind of paranoia thing about sitting in the aisle seat so that I could get out whenever I wanted. The thought of being in a window seat and feeling sick and not being able to get out because there were 2 people sitting next to me used to properly freak me out. And I remember once like having an absolute meltdown at check-in because I couldn't get an aisle seat, and it got really like my mum had to tell me to calm down because the guys were getting like, you can't really go crazy in an airport, it's not the place to go mad. So I've always been a bit weird about where I've sat, and I think that's where it all kind of comes from. The thing about my fear of flying is that it's not an irrational fear. Not that I'm saying it's rational, but I know that some people are so scared of flying that they kind of openly freak out, and they're shaky and they're asking questions and they're panicking. And I've seen people on flights, they look so distressed and it's really obvious that they're very scared. And I'm not like that at all, which is why a lot of you guys comment on my vlog saying, I don't understand, it doesn't seem like you're scared of flying. I am scared inside, and you'll never know really. There might be a few signs, but for me, if I were to openly freak out on a plane and make other people worried about me being scared, that just makes the whole situation so much worse. And the last thing I want is any sort of panic or tense environment around me. I tend to just kind of keep it all inside, and if you heard the things that went on in my head, you would think I was absolutely crazy. But on the outside, I think I probably look quite calm and collected. So now that I've grown out of the being sick on a plane thing, I definitely still get terrible travel sickness. I'm so bad in cabs and boats. and I've had it before where the plane's kind of circled an airport and I've been really sick. But most of the time I think I'm okay and I'm not normally actually sick on a plane. So I've realised now that for me sitting in the window seat is actually better, because then I can just zone out into my own little world. And so much of my fear comes from the atmosphere of being in a plane. I hate the fact that you can't just get out whenever you want to. I hate the fact that you're uncontactable. You can't speak to your family and friends. No one can contact you. You're just so detached from the world. I feel like it's a really lonely place. And I know some people love that about flying. I absolutely hate it. So I found that when I was in the aisle seat, I was so involved in what was going on in the plane. Every time an air hostess walked past or a baby ran somewhere or something went on, I just felt like I was too involved with everything that was going on. So I remember trying the window seat for the first time and I was freaked out just about changing. I'm not great with things like that. So I tried the window seat and it was a life changer, and I just love that I can zone out into my own little world. I've got my little noise cancelling headphones and I can be in my own little world. So now I'm obsessed with window seat. I have to have a window seat. Middle seat's the worst. Aisle seat freaks me out a bit, so I'm definitely a window seat person. I start to feel nervous about 2 days before a flight, and it comes out in an organisational way. So I'm the sort of person who makes lists about what to pack. I have lists of lists of lists. I start packing weeks before my holiday, and I think that's all part of the nerves really, because it's just me prepping myself for getting on that flight. I don't want to get on the flight and not have what I need with me. So all the kind of organisation leading up to it, I think, is all part of the fear. And then when I get to the airport, I'm okay. I feel like now I'm older, I've got into a real routine. The more you fly, I've definitely found the more that I've flown, the more I've got used to it, and I kind of know my routine. That definitely helps a lot. I have to get a bottle of water in the airport once I've checked through security. If I don't get a bottle of water, I'm very, actually I don't think I've ever not had a bottle of water, because I know when I feel sick I need water and I have to have it for takeoff. I also always buy magazines because you can't always listen to your music on takeoff. I think now you can, but you couldn't before, and so I needed a distraction during takeoff. So I get my water and I get my magazines. Anna always laughs at me because I have to get my water and magazines. And I just like to be organised, because you don't want anything adding to the panic of getting on a flight. So I don't want to get there too early because I hate spending too much time in the airport and building myself up. Get there the right time, make sure everything's sorted, check in. I'm normally okay in the airport. There's things to distract me. I don't mind it. I'm on the ground. I can contact people. It's all good. And then you start boarding the plane, and I just often feel like I get a bit heavy in my breathing. Whenever I get onto the plane, everything's very rushed. I want to get my bags in the right place, sit down, it always feels like everything goes super fast at that point. And I like to get myself in order, put my socks on, flight socks on, be organised. I hate the smell of planes. I hate plane toilets. I very rarely use them unless I really, really have to. I don't really like having anyone around me, and I try not to look too much at the other people on the planes. I don't know why that always freaks me out. And I don't know if there's a particular part of a flight that I find worse. I don't love takeoff and landing. I imagine these scenarios in my head. I get a bit obsessed with weird little things like, are there too many suitcases in the plane that's going to be too heavy on takeoff? When we land, are we going too fast? Is the nose going to hit the floor? I get really weird and technical about things that could go wrong. And I'm really not like that as a person. So I don't know why. I try so hard to kind of fight those thoughts, but they're there. So takeoff happens and I hate it. I listen out for the beeps on the plane. I feel like after 2 beeps, when the air hostesses stand up, I feel way more calm and I know everything's okay. But it really is the entire flight that I don't like, because it's the uncomfortableness of being in a seat like that. I find it so hard to sleep in planes. I hate the smell, I hate the noise. As I said, all those things. I just feel so detached and lonely and uncomfortable and scared. But saying that, I think about this a lot when I'm on flights, and I don't think I'm actually scared of dying myself. I have way more fear of my friends and family dying than me. And I really hope this video doesn't end up freaking you guys out more. But I think for me, the fear is if something terrible were to happen, it's that kind of 5-10 minutes when the plane's dropping out of the sky or something like that I'm scared of, not the actual dying. Wow, this video's got deep. I tend to take travel sickness pills before, just in case, but I don't really know if they do anything. I think for me it's more of just the action of doing it makes me feel more calm. I've thought about doing one of those fear of flying courses before. I know that Virgin, BA, EasyJet, pretty much all the airlines do them, but part of the course is that you have to go on a flight with other people who are scared of flying, and I'd say that was probably one of my biggest fears ever, is being on a plane when someone else is freaking out. When there's someone else who's scared of flying, I really can't look at them or be near them, because that external panic, I don't understand how, for me, that would just make me so much worse. If I was freaking out openly, that would make, for me, the situation so much more panicked. I do everything I can to keep myself calm, and if that means freaking out inside and just closing my eyes, I often just put on my hood. This is what I do. If there's turbulence and I'm really freaking out, I put on my hood, I put in my headphones, and I just do this. And I think, look, what's the worst that can happen? I'm gonna die, it's fine. I've often thought that on a flight, like, it's fine, I'm gonna die, it's really sad for my family and friends, but it will be good. Anna will make a video for me on my YouTube channel. It's not the fear of crashing, it's just the horribleness of being on a plane. I just don't like it, and I don't enjoy it, and I want it to be over. It's really hard to explain that, because I feel like most people who are scared of flying are scared of their plane crashing, and mine's just not like that. I would never ever let my fear get in the way of traveling around the world, because from a young age I've loved going to other countries and discovering new places. I went traveling on my gap year, and now I try and take every opportunity I can to visit new countries. I think I've been to 25 countries. I was going to do 30 before 30, but I don't know if I'll make it in time. I'm already 28. But that is the most important thing. And I've been on some tiny, scary planes. In Ghana, I went on a little plane with propeller. Literally my worst nightmare, but it's 100% worth it. It's so worth it. Even if something awful were to happen, it would be worth it, because I went to Ghana with comic relief and it was the best thing ever. So I would never ever let my fear stop me from going anywhere. But just finding those little things that make the experience better is worth it. So as I said, this video had absolutely no point, but it was nice to just sit and chat, and I hope I kind of expressed what I was trying to say in this video. I don't know if any of you guys would have a similar thing to me. It's kind of like an environmental fear, situational fear. Does that make sense? I hate it, and I'm dreading going on a flight. I'll be on that flight that I'm talking about right now when you're watching this, so let's hope it all goes okay. I'm taking with me my nice smelly things that I smell when I'm feeling a bit panicked, and let's just hope the time goes fast. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my video tomorrow. Bye!